वासुदेवाय। ॐ ततो जयमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिके। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 19. This Chapter 19 is entitled King Yayati Achieves Liberation. Today we will be reading text number 4. Tasya Uddharana Upayam Tasya Uddharanopayam Tasya Uddharanopayam Vastaha Swami Vichintayan Vastakami Vichintayan Vastakami Vichintayan Yadhatta Tirtham Uddhritya Vyadhatta Tirtham Uddhritya Vyadhatta Tirtham Uddhritya Vishana Agrena Rodhasi Vishanagrena Rodhasi Vishanagrena Rodhasi Tasya Uddharanopayam Vastakami Vichintayan Vyadhatta Tirtham Uddhritya Vishanagrena Rodhasi. Tasya Uddharanopayam Vastakami Vichintayan Vyadhatta Tirtham Uddhritya Vishanagrena Rodhasi. Tasya Uddharanopayam Vastakami Vichintayan Vyadhatta Tirtham Uddhritya Vishanagrena Rodhasi. Tasya Uddharanopayam Vastakami Vichintayan Vyadhatta Tirtham Uddhritya Vishanagrena Rodhasi. Tasyaha of the she goat Uddharana Upayam, the means of deliverance from the well. Bastaha, the he goat. Kami, having lusty desires. Vichintayan, planning. Vyadhatta, executed. Tirtham, a way to come out. Uddhritya, digging the earth. Vishana agrena, by the point of the horns. Rodhasi, at the edge of the well. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. After planning how to get the she-goat out of the well, the lusty he-goat dug up the earth on the well's edge with the point of his horns in such a way that she was able to come out very easily. Please repeat this translation. After planning how to get the she-goat out of the well, the lusty he-goat dug up the earth on the well's edge with the point of his horns in such a way that she was able to come out very easily. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Attraction for women is the impetus for economic development, housing, and many other things meant for living comfortably in this material world. Digging up the earth to make a way out for the she-goat was a laborious task. But before accepting the she-goat, the he-goat underwent this labor. Aho Grihakshetra Sutapta Vittair Janasya Mohoyam Aham Mameti. The union between male and female provides the impetus for gaining a nice apartment, a good income, children, and friends. Thus, one becomes entangled in this material world. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshkaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidunam. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasa Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare. This is a very interesting narration about one great king, Yayati. He was a very powerful king. He was ruling the whole world. But somehow he got entangled in family life. And in spite of his best attempts to enjoy with his wife, in course of time, he did become very disgusted with this attempt to enjoy sexually. And he was able to renounce this way of life. The scriptures say it is almost impossible for somebody who is entangled in family life and is very busy trying to enjoy sexually. For such a person to come out of this entanglement and renounce this way of life, this way of enjoying life, is actually almost impossible. But here we have a very good example of this king Yayati achieving liberation after renouncing this way of life. So how did this happen is very instructive for all of us. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is narrating in great detail the history of this king's life This is the 19th chapter. In the 18th chapter, there was a detailed description of King Yayati's life before he became disgusted trying to enjoy sexually with his wife. So the description is being given by Srila Shukadev Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit is sitting and hearing Shukadev Goswami in order to prepare himself for quitting his body in 7 days. So Maharaj Parikshit's way of preparing himself is simply to hear from Shukadev Goswami about Krishna, and simply by hearing he is becoming a first-class realized soul. And Bhagavatam is suggesting to all of us, exactly like Parikshit Maharaj had very less time, and he simply sat and heard the Bhagavatam. All of us, we also have very less time. And simply, if we sit and hear Bhagavatam, whatever available time, we can also become spiritually advanced and realized to be able to achieve the ultimate liberation at the end of this life. It is possible. Now, Bhagavatam, to convince us, is giving different kinds of examples. There are varieties of examples of people who, coming from different backgrounds, by good fortune, they took up the process of bhakti, particularly the aspect of bhakti where one simply sits and hears about Krishna from a realized soul, from a Krishna realized soul. Simply by doing this, one can become detached from all material attachments. One can come out of material entanglement very, very, very easily, without any separate endeavor. Simply by sitting and hearing, like all of you are now just sitting and hearing. You just have to do this. Nothing more is required. Nothing more is required. No matter what your situation may be, what your condition may be, what background you are coming from, it doesn't matter. And Prabhupada exactly did this. He traveled everywhere and he spoke the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he requested whoever he met, please sit and hear. And to augment our hearing, Prabhupada has also given us this Bhagavatam book. So we can also read. We can also discuss. So in this way, our life can become successful, human form of life, simply by this one scripture, Bhagavatam. Very, very special literature. No other literature in the entire universe can compare to the Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, simply try to hear, read, discuss about the Srimad Bhagavatam, and your life is successful. Now, Yayati's case is a very unique example. There are so many examples in the Bhagavatam, but Yayati, typically, he got entangled in family life, and he realized that I am very badly entangled and I should come out of it. And he did perform his duties very nicely. As a king, he performed sacrifices, and he was taking care of the citizens like a father takes care of his children. This is the example given. Exactly like a father cares for his children. King Yayati took care of the citizens of his kingdom, and his kingdom was the entire world. It's no small job for a king to carry on his administration in such a way that he takes care of his citizens like a father takes care of his children. So he did his duties, but merely doing the duties is not guaranteed to give success in coming out of this material entanglement. Formerly, if not in this Kali Yuga, in the previous ages, generally people were mostly pious, majority of the people, and they would actually do their duties very nicely. They'd all do their duties very nicely. But we don't have a record of all these people who did their duties, they came out of material entanglement. We don't have any such record. In fact, it says, oh, they have to perform their duties very nicely for millions of years. And gradually they will come out of this material entanglement. So Bhagavatam describes a way by which you can come out of this entanglement very, very easily, very quickly, without much of effort on your part. But Kali Yuga is such a unfortunate age in a sense that even sitting and hearing Bhagavatam is becoming difficult for people. Mind is very, very disturbed. Mind is very disturbed. The beginning of the Bhagavatam describes the conditions in Kali Yuga. Prayena alpayusha sabhya. People's duration of life is already reduced in Kali Yuga to 100 years maximum. Because in previous yugas they used to live 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 100,000 years, like that. So Kali Yuga is reduced to the minimum among the 4 yugas. Only maximum of 100 years. But even that is reducing now. You have very few examples of people living 100 years. So, prayena alpayusha. The duration of life is shortened in Kali Yuga. And as Kali Yuga progresses, it becomes very, very, very less. 12th canto of the Bhagavatam describes that as Kali Yuga progresses, people's duration of life will be reduced to at most 50 years. And towards the end of Kali Yuga, a 20-year-old man or a person will be considered grand old man. This towards the end of Kali Yuga. So, prayena alpayusha sabhya kalavasmin yuge janaha. Kali Yuga, the name Kali means the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. For small trivial reasons, people quarrel. So Kali means Kalaha. Kalaha means quarrel, fighting. For every small reason, people will pick a fight. And this fight goes on not only between individuals, but between families, between communities, between states, between countries, between, even if there is a possibility of interplanetary travel, then there would be fights between people of one planet versus people of another planet. We have record in Srimad Bhagavatam. The demons and the demigods, they live in different planets, but they fight with each other for supremacy over who's going to occupy the heavenly kingdom. So, Kali Yuga is particularly the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Hypocrisy because people want to make a show that they are very religious or they are very nice people. But within the core of their heart, they have got all evil intentions. So they make a show as if they are very clean or as if they are very good people, but invariably they cheat the other people by making a show of being honest, upright. Very few people are actually honest when they appear to be honest. So hypocrisy is characteristic of people in Kali Yuga. Manda, they are very, very slow or they are very lazy in matter of spiritual realization. See how few people are there for this kind of discussion, the most important discussion, Bhagavatam. But when it comes to sense gratification, they are ready to get up early in the morning. Prabhupada gives this example in big cities. They have to travel so many hours in crowded trains or buses, or in Bangalore particularly notorious for very bad traffic. So they travel with great difficulty. They take all the trouble, but only for sense gratification. When we invite them to the temple in Bangalore, they say, oh, your temple, very difficult to come because too much traffic. Now, do you give this excuse for any other reason? No. For other reasons, for other purposes, traffic is not an obstacle. Or even if it's an obstacle, we'll somehow overcome the obstacle. But when it comes to visiting temple, hearing Bhagavatam, so many reasons they will cite. Manda. Then among the few people who are not so lazy, they have other challenges. Sumanda Mataya, very easily they are misguided. If they have interest in hearing Bhagavatam, oh, there are so many Bhagavat Saptahas going on, especially in North India. South India is not so much. Saptaha, Bhagavat Saptaha. And people gather because they are very, very pious. They have good culture, they have good background. So they gather still in this country, India, Bharatvarsha, very special place. People are still pious. They're not so degraded as in the other countries. So they gather, but they are very easily misled by bogus Bhagavatam reciters. Some of them are plainly doing that Bhagavatam recitation for money. Shamelessly, they say, you have to pay me at least 1 lakh per day. For 7 days, 7 lakhs. And that 7 lakhs also is exclusively for me. Apart from that, you have to spend for my artists. And then you have to pay separately for my plane fare. My associates will travel by 3-tier AC train. And then you have to make arrangement for my stay, and stay of my associates. These kind of so many terms and conditions. They also become experts in putting forth the terms and conditions. And see the contrast. They are speaking about Shukadeva Goswami narrating Bhagavatam. And Shukadeva Goswami, he was walking naked. He would not even accept a little bhiksha from anybody. For his subsistence, while he was traveling, if somebody is milking a cow, he'll go and request, give me little milk. That raw milk, freshly milked from the cow, he'll just take a little and that's it. He'll subsist only on that. So, Shukadeva Goswami is just the total opposite of all these so-called Bhagavatam recitals. So, what effect will it have? What potency will it have? What good effect will be there of hearing from such professional reciters? That's why we see people who keep on hearing regularly Bhagavad Saptaha. We don't see transformation of their hearts. We don't see change of heart. There's a chapter in the second canto of the Bhagavatam, the third chapter. The chapter is entitled Pure Devotional Service, Change of Heart. So if you are hearing Bhagavatam properly from the right source, then definitely there should be some change of heart after hearing, even once. There should be some change of heart. Like many of you are coming regularly. How is it happening? We are not doing any big promotion, propaganda, advertisement. You are coming of your own. Because the first time you came, you heard there was a change of heart. There was a change of heart. Hearing from the lips of Prabhupada or hearing the words of Prabhupada, there was a change of heart. That's why you're sitting here. You got so many other things to do also. But you set aside everything and you come here and sit here. This is called change of heart. So, these professional reciters are simply misleading innocent people. Sumanda Mataya. And unfortunately, even though they are very sincerely, very nicely, they are hearing Bhagavatam, they know the value of hearing Bhagavatam. That's why they are going and hearing. But the reciter is not a bona fide speaker of Bhagavatam like Shukadeva Goswami. So Prabhupada says one has to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a proper representative of Shukadeva Goswami. A representative of Shukadeva Goswami never makes a living out of reciting Bhagavatam. This is the most important point. Everybody has to have some means of livelihood. But never should one adopt reciting Bhagavatam as a means of livelihood. What is wrong if somebody does that? Like some people say, I only take minimum necessary for my living. No. The Bhagavatam recitation will not be effective on the hearers if one is not a true representative of Shukadeva Goswami. So never should Bhagavatam recitation be done for the sake of getting some money or getting some material benefit. Never, never, never. If that is the case, it will not be effective. It will not be effective. So Sumandamataya, then if somebody is wise enough to avoid such bogus Bhagavatam reciters and hear from a proper representative of Shukadeva Goswami, then Mandabhagya, they are unfortunate many times because they're so badly entangled that even if they want to come and hear, they cannot. They are entangled in some material duties, responsibilities, etc. Mandabhagya. And above all, almost everybody is upadruta, disturbed in the mind. There are so many causes for disturbance of the mind. Because if you sit and hear peacefully, without mind being disturbed, then you can hear nicely. But if the mind is very disturbed, you cannot peacefully sit and hear. Because something will be there in the mind, the back of the mind. I have got some relative in the hospital. I have to attend to them. Still somehow I have come to hear Bhagavatam. In between, suddenly one call will come, emergency, please rush to the hospital. Like this, so many different reasons people cannot sit peacefully and hear. Upadrutaha, always disturbed in the mind. So with all these handicaps in Kali Yuga, some or the other, if you are able to hear Bhagavatam and you pray to Krishna that by his special blessings, you somehow continue to hear Bhagavatam regularly, then your life is successful. Now hear this story of Yayati. He became disgusted with this sexual enjoyment, even though he had ample opportunity and he did utilize all the opportunities that he got, but he became disgusted. And by good fortune, he became realized that this is totally useless. It's totally useless. So when he became realized, he narrated one story to his beloved wife. Now, his wife was a very chaste lady, like it was usually in most cases in those days. She was simply serving him very faithfully. Now, even though she was not particularly engaged in some spiritual practice, particular spiritual practice for her own liberation or for her own self-realization, simply by being a chaste wife, she is guaranteed success. And it describes how she became successful. That Yayati, when he realized that this is useless, he narrated a story to his wife. And that story is being described by Shukadeva Goswami. What is the story that he narrated? Actually, this story was made up by Yayati to describe his own life to his own wife. So, he describes to his wife Once upon a time, while a goat was searching in a forest for different types of vegetables to eat, by chance he came to a well in which he saw a she-goat. It's his own story actually, but he's narrating it in a very interesting way to enlighten his wife. And through his wife, we are all getting enlightened because Shukadeva Goswami narrating this story. So then, when he saw that she-goat trapped in that well, he became attracted to her, and some or other he delivered her from the well, and thus they were united. So this particular verse, today's verse, when he saw the she-goat trapped in that well, he was planning how to get the she-goat out of the well. What was his interest in getting her out of the well? What was his particular interest? It is because he was a lusty he-goat. He had got a great desire and he had made plans how to enjoy sexually with another she-goat. So he thought, oh, if I rescue her, then nicely together we can enjoy life. So therefore, even though it was very, very difficult with the horns, he dug up the earth on the well's edge in such a way that this she-goat was able to come out of that well very easily. So Prabhupada is pointing out in the purport, attraction for woman. Here woman means the object of enjoyment. Don't take woman as woman. Woman means the object of enjoyment. Attraction for objects of enjoyment. Specifically for a man it is a woman and for a woman it is a man. Is the impetus for economic development, housing and many other things meant for living comfortably in this material world. We have no business in this material world because we are spirit soul. We belong to the spiritual world. But somehow, because of the desire for enjoying independently, enjoying materially, we have come to this material world. And having come here, we have to make arrangements for living comfortably and enjoying life. Materially, material enjoyment, we have to make arrangement. So that is being described here. Pumsam striya mithuni bhavam etat. The material world is so made that this opposite gender, man is attracted to woman, a woman is attracted to a man. So this attraction is the basis of material existence itself. This attraction not only exists between man and woman in this human form of life, but it is there in all the species, between birds, between animals, between insects, between reptiles, between frogs, between fishes, between worms. This attraction between male and female always exists. And particularly in human form of life, Tayor mitho hridaya granthim ahuhu. In the 5th canto, Rishabdeva's teachings, this is described in detail, a little detail, that when they unite, there is a knot formed in the heart that the man thinks, I cannot live without the woman. And the woman thinks, I cannot live without the man. Though they were living without each other very nicely. Before they got united, they never thought, I cannot live without a woman or a man. Each one did not think like that. Somehow, due to attraction, they become united. Then they start thinking, I cannot live, one cannot live without the other. Hridaya Granthi. Prabhupada says, actually, when we take birth in this material world, due to the body itself, there is already a knot in the heart that I am this body and all the bodily necessities are mine, or bodily connections are mine. So this knot is already there in the heart. But to strengthen this knot and make it almost impossible to free oneself from this entanglement, the knot becomes even more stronger when a man unites with a woman and they think after that, I cannot live without the other. So it's just like if you take two pieces of rope and if you want to join them, you tie them together with a knot. Then sometimes to make it secure, one knot may not be enough. Then one more knot, then it becomes even more stronger. The knot becomes the joint becomes stronger. And then as if the two knots are not enough, then third knot, fourth knot. So like this, material existence means by birth itself there is this knot in the heart that I am this body and all bodily connections are, necessities are mine. Aham mama. But this aham and mama becomes more secure and stronger as we go on tying more knots in the heart. And it is the strongest when this final knot is tied when a man and woman get married or decide to live together. Nowadays there's no, they say there's no need for marriage. You can live together, live in relationship. In any case, it's the same thing. The business is the same. Enjoy together, not alone, not separately. Enjoy together. Then after this knot is tied, particularly through this marriage, ato gruhat kshetra sutapta vittair janasya mohoyam aham mameti. As soon as they get married, then they require apartment or a house, gruha, to live together. Kshetra, then some means of earning money. Kshetra formerly it was all agriculture activity. And now it has become diversified into so many other kinds of activities for earning money. Kshetra, Suta, then children, expand the family so that can enjoy better, more. And Apta, then relatives, friends. Vittai, most important, money. Here money means not just the basic necessities, but more than the basic needs for better enjoyment or more enjoyment. Vittai. And in this way, one becomes more and more and more and more entangled in material existence. And this is called moha, illusion. When we take birth, we are born into illusion. Ichha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata. Birth in the material world means we are born with Icha and Visha, likes and dislikes. And therefore, there is always this dvandva, the duality. Always there is a conflict in the mind. Because we have likes and dislikes. We have nothing to do with this material existence, but anyway, somehow by birth itself we have likes and dislikes. Like sometimes when the parents want to buy a toy for the child to play, the child will be so insistent that it wants a particular color of the toy. It wants a particular type of toy. Now, where is this knowledge coming from? I want red color only. I want that particular toy only. I don't want this toy. As if the child is all educated about colors. No education, nothing. It is born, everyone is born into ignorance about all such matters at least. So this is the truth, that we are born with likes and dislikes. And whenever something is not as per our liking, we dislike something, then we try very strenuously to avoid it. And if we like something, if it is not available, we work very hard to get it. So the whole life, this dvandva is the basis of our trying to avoid something or trying to acquire something. Whole life. Then where is time for self-realization? Where is time for solving the fundamental problems of life? There's no time. There's no space. There's no possibility. Janasya mohoyam aham mameti. So Krishna says dvandva moha. Moha is the illusion. The illusion that I can, by my endeavor, acquire what I like to enjoy, and even I try to avoid what I dislike by my endeavor. But foolish people don't realize that according to our past karma, likes and dislikes are not the basis of what we can get or what we cannot get. It is our karma which decides what I can have and about what I cannot have. So if your karma is not to get something which you like, you cannot get that by your endeavor, by your intelligence, by your skill, by your efforts, by your influence. You cannot get it. But the whole life is spent in working against our karma. Whole life. So that is called moha, illusion. So this entanglement is very, 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 very dangerous. Material entanglement is very dangerous. Because as Yayati is now going to relate the story, that the entanglement became so very complicated that it's almost impossible to get out. But we'll hear how he was able to become enlightened and he got out of it. Not only he, even Devayani, his wife, she also got out, and both of them achieved liberation. So fortunately, we don't have to go through all these experiences that Yayati went through, or Devayani went through, or any of the other personalities described in the Bhagavatam, they went through, what all they went through. You don't have to go through that. Simply by hearing, your intelligence is awakened. that you don't have to try, you don't have to endeavor. Simply by hearing, you become realized. You become realized that this is not the way of becoming happy. This is not the way of becoming successful. This is not the proper way to actually lead a good life in this material world. You become enlightened. You become realized. So that realization means in your heart, if at all there was any desire or any idea or any plan or any kind of effort going on, you will immediately give it up. Immediately you'll give it up. Just like so many people, they don't come because this time they're very busy with so many other activities. But you have made time to come. You also have other activities to do. You'll say, let it wait. I'll do it later. So how is it possible for you to, set aside all other things and come here? That realization has come simply by hearing Bhagavatam. Simply by hearing Bhagavatam, that realization has come. It's important to hear Bhagavatam. Let me go and hear. No. Other things can wait. So that is not very easy for everyone. It's not easy for everyone to realize the importance and make time and come. That simply by hearing Bhagavatam in the association of devotees from the proper source, all these knots that are there in the heart will all get cut off. Without any separate endeavor, without any difficulty. It will automatically happen. But one thing you have to be careful or cautious about is that as these knots get cut, you will see changes in your life which may scare you. Like, for example, you may start losing some materialistic friends. You start wondering, what's happening? I'm losing my good friends. Yes, that is a natural consequence of becoming more interested spiritually. You cannot continue your material activities, your material endeavors, your material relationships if you are becoming spiritually more and more interested, more and more advanced, more and more enlightened. You cannot continue the materialistic way of life. So don't worry. If you lose materialistic friends, you will gain other friends who will be spiritually inclined, spiritually interested. Parallelly, that will happen. Not that you become completely bereft of all friends, relatives, everybody. No. Krishna is very kind. He will arrange. Whatever you lose on one side, on the other side, you keep gaining spiritually. And that will only be helpful for you. By losing some materialistic friends, you don't realize that you're saving so much of money which otherwise would have been uselessly wasted in their association. Mahabharata Bhishma says, while he's instructing Yudhishthira, that to save money, you should avoid undesirable association. What is this undesirable association that he's talking about? It is association of materialistic people. So, simply by hearing Bhagavatam, you get rid of all materialistic association gradually. See, there are so many benefits of hearing Bhagavatam. So, regularly or as frequently as possible, please try to hear Bhagavatam and hear nicely. Automatically everything else that is required for your developing detachment and becoming enlightened, everything will be taken care of. Krishna in your heart. I'll stop here. Prantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.